Kia ora, everybody. Welcome to the Unable Seaman podcast, the podcast designed to take a light-hearted look at all things boating and fishing in New Zealand. I'm your host, Jay Kerr, and joining me once again is my first mate, best mate, Christian Jensen. How are you?
Only, mate. Bloody good.
Only mate, yeah. The only mate I can get on this podcast.
I love how you
need to
took
get
a
some
wee.
decent guests on here.
I love how you took a wee while to get that one. Hey, you're like, oh yeah. Oh.
Oh, I'm going to actually blame the internet on that one. I actually lost you for like a second. So,
Oh, piss
it
off. Piss off.
wasn't me having like a stroke. It was actually I blame the ADSL internet at Kawakawa Bay for that one.
Is that all you've
But
got?
that's all we got, mate. It's tough times living by the sea.
Oh well, okay.
How are you anyway? What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Oh well, family's been sick, so I haven't actually been out much on the boat. Oh, it's a lie. We went out twice. For a spin, just hoon around the harbour to take Piper for a spin. She freaking loves it.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was pretty
And
cool.
so obviously nice and flat. And so
Oh,
Piper is your. How old is she now? 15 months?
Year and a half.
Year and a half. What's the 18-month-year-old baby? So first couple of times on the water.
Yep, she's pretty cute, man, and she just loves it. We just putt around the harbour, and she just bounces around the boat, pointing, seagulls, boats, stuff like that. Absolutely loves it.
Yeah. And she's spotting workups, I suppose, by the sound of it.
Oh yeah, Murray, and she's already on the game set. I've got her in the old what's it called, Black Magic Equalizer. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's
she
also got
feet off the back as a teaser.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I've already had the word from the missus. Let's look at a boat that's a bit more family friendly.
Yeah. Well, we'll certainly get to that, and we've talked about that in previous times about your horrific ideas for buying a boat. But well, of course, we've been boating together, and anyone who's watching this on YouTube will have probably seen our video where we
The one where we
down.
went out and we bloody burnt more than the Queen Mary in fuel.
Yeah, let's just pick up on that for a minute. How much fuel did we use that day? We hit the water at 8ish. We're back at about midday. Went to Hunter's Bank from Mana. So you filled the listeners in on the cave and running time.
So it was 40. It was 41 kilometers, and we used 40 liters on the dot when I filled it up at the fuel station. And that wasn't filling. That wasn't filling the tote tanks to like. You know how you can get them right to the top so you can barely put the cap on? No. That was just like I was like, fuck. So 1 litre.
Yeah, a litre a K.
A litre a K, which is pretty average considering my old Yamaha 2-stroke V4 140 with a 6-metre boat. So basically double the horsepower, was doing 1.4 to 1.6 Ks per litre.
Okay.
So that's pretty bad. I suppose the only thing in fairness is that we were jigging and we never turned the motor off the whole day.
Yeah, we never had the motor off, and anyone who's watched that video and has listened to the audio will hear the delightful tone of a 2-stroke coughing and spluttering in the distance. But I mean, that was a magic day out. It wasn't a magic. It was great to be on the water together. The weather was awful.
Yeah.
The fishing was rubbish. The banter was absolutely subpar. But it was a great.
The boating was mint.
The boat was mint. The boat ran well. And if you've always wanted to know what Christian's boat looks like, head over to the YouTube channel. In fact, both our boats are on the YouTube channel. Now, I just want to gloat a little bit because the Bayliner video has about 6,500 views now, and I think that video with your boat is sort of meandering down in the low hundreds.
I was like, who would even bother? Suzuki GT85 from 1995 on a 1969.
Well, I mean, you never know. That could be something that people are searching for.
Yeah. Hey, that's true. Hey, my only saving grace is that my top speed is almost double your top speed.
Yes, so that's the bone of contention. So of course the Bayliner's gone, as you know. The Rayglass 650's in my life now, and Christian.
I think, from what I've heard, I think the Bayliner was actually better.
The Bayliner was faster. There was no doubt about that. The Rayglass has a top speed of about 28 knots.
A cruising speed of 25.
About 25, yeah. So there's not a lot in it. A little bit more noise and some slight difference in speed. But I love
Yeah.
that boat, and we're obviously producing lots of content on it. We had on it yesterday, in fact. Beautiful flat day. So we're recording this on the 14th of August. So we're out yesterday. So still very much winter fishing. So the last 2 Sundays we've been out. Went out to 40 metres. So we launched at Kawakawa Bay, out the back of Waiheke, 40 metres. Dare I say it, we took bait. I didn't take bait. My cousin took bait. And it was really interesting. Everything I know about
Did your
bait.
missus come with you? Did your missus
She
come with
came
you?
with me. Yep, yep. So
She would have been
her and
stoked. She'd have been relieved to hear, oh, bait, finally I'll come. I can actually catch a fish.
well, here's the thing, and I'll say this about bait, and it's yes, it gets a lot of fish. So we went to 40 meters, and we're obviously fishing. We're trying to find workups and fishing workups. Now they're still winter workups, so it's gannets, but it's very short, sharp, and there's not heaps of stuff under them. But there is the odd snapper. So what I found is that the bait caught probably 3 or 4 to 1 versus the slow jigs and soft bait in terms of snapper. But they were all like 320, 350, 400. You got a couple of bigger ones, but those real like on the
So
line,
did you get
even
any bigger
sometimes
ones?
undersized.
Did you get
Yeah,
any
and
bigger
that's the
ones?
thing. So the slow jig actually caught bigger fish.
Actually,
Actually caught bigger fish. And I can't take the credit. I didn't catch anything all day. It was actually Jaden on the slow jig who did very well. Yeah, little bastard. I'm gonna have to start tying his knots a bit below par.
what? So you lose your own.
Well, you're not a fisherman until you've lost a couple of good ones, eh? He hasn't experienced that yet. He's just getting all the easy ride. I get it all ready for him. He drops it over the side, gets the glory. He needs that pain of, um, dropping
Yeah,
a real monster down to a shitty knot.
yeah, and then going, Jake, you bastard.
Blaming someone else. So that was
That's what
magic
happens with me when
yesterday.
I go fishing with you.
It still happens to me. You'd think I'd learn. Then yesterday went out more again to film a video. So we went to a place. So we're trying to do a series around finding fantastic anchorages in the Gulf. Now we're going to do a video coming into summer where we spend like 2 or 3 days on the boat and do like a night in each one of these anchorages, and let people know where's best for swimming, for hanging out. There's going to be like some rules around it, so it has to be a bay you can stay like overnight in. Um,
Rather
so some of the
than,
so something like a big open beach, for example. Like I'm thinking like Onatangi at Waiheke is a fantastic day anchorage, and yes, I do know lots of boats stay there at night, but you definitely get a roll in there,
oh yeah,
and
okay.
so
And
that's the sort of thing.
you're quite picky, aren't you, with your chine slap that comes in and just
Oh, bro,
laps the side of your boat, just the gentle.
cannot do it. I cannot do it. It drives me
Yeah.
insane. So, so that's the stuff. So we wanted to. I found this little bay called Garden Cove. It was actually on a boat review, and we'll come back to that boat review in a minute because it's a boat that I want to talk about. But saw this bay and just thought, wow, this looks amazing. So basically, just got the Navionics out and tracked where I thought they were and found it. And again, there's a video coming, so I don't want to give too much away, but there's this little bay, there's this big rock right in the middle of it. So the width of the entrance to the bay is only about 50 meters, and there's this big rock
Oh, I know
to
what
one
boat you're
side.
talking about now too. I've just clicked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quite a
And you got
big
to
boat, eh?
squeeze through this gap. Now, every fiber in your body wants to go through the big gap, the bigger of the two gaps, and the bigger entrances, I should say. But there's a big rock under there, so we had to go round the other side through this narrow channel. And I knew on that video that big cat went through there. So I wouldn't say confident, but at least I knew that the 6.5 meter Rayglass would fit. But let's just say my sphincter was very tight.
Well, can't you see the bottom? Like if you're
You
coming at
can,
five
but I
knots,
had
like,
I had Becky up on the front, and it's
yeah,
amazing. It says a lot about how different men and women are, the way we communicate.
yeah.
Just
She says it's on your left, and you're like, cool. You're actually pointing to your right.
yeah, it's a little bit of that, or like just how do I say this without being massively sexist and getting cancelled? We just think differently, is all we'll say.
And getting cancelled.
Yeah.
Bro, have we ever cared about getting cancelled? Like, come on.
No, but we are trying to grow our female listenership, and I think we have
Well,
none.
okay, well, I can double it overnight, bro. I'll just get your mum to listen to it, and then we go from like 1
There
to
we go.
2.
Go from none to one. There we go. And you get your mum, and we're a home and host. We do have a non-binary listening.
Okay. Oh my god.
No, we do. We actually do. You can. This is the sort of shit YouTube algorithm.
That's just because that person just chose not to click on anything. They're like, I prefer not to say. So it probably defaulted
Well,
to non-binary.
I just think if you could bring a bit of content, maybe next podcast for our non-binary listeners, that would be good. You know, that's maybe an area you could step up in
Okay,
as the
bro. I'm
non-binary
gonna be start.
consultant.
I will start using jigs that are neither black nor pink. So not masculine or feminine colors. I'll start using orange or
Oh,
red.
right. See, there we go. So non-binary. That's
There you
what
go.
we want to hear.
Yeah, and
So
this jig will not have a male or female name. It'll be called Hercules.
Hercules. There we go.
Well,
Yeah, very
because male or
masculine
female
actually.
could be Hercules. Like, just don't
Is
become
that right?
sexist.
I would associate that with a man's name, but
Well, you would, but
what
because
do I
that's your
know?
sexist. You wouldn't
I'm a
understand.
sex, and I'm going to cancel myself, and I'm going to move on from that. So
Yeah,
boats.
boats.
I want to talk about a boat I sent you. Now
Yep.
we've often
And
talked
I
about
want to talk
ultimate
about
boat.
a boat that I text you today about that I said this is my favorite boat at the moment.
Sweet, yes, and I did get that, and we will absolutely talk about that. So I want to start with my one, and we'll come back to your one because it both are both the topics we've talked about
Unobtainium.
before. So we've talked a lot about boats on this podcast, ultimate boats. In fact, we've got a whole podcast dedicated to it, one of our first ones. And obviously, that is a fluid thing because new boats come along. And I think I've found my new favorite boat. Okay,
Yeah, but
it's called
yours
a
is this is a
Volda.
launch.
It's a launch, yeah, and it's worth
Yeah, it's a
like
launch.
$5 or $6 million. I think I'm trying to get a price and I can't, but we're talking serious money here. There's a helicopter pad on the roof. So it's a Volda Cat 20. Now, if you want to go to Boating New Zealand or Pacific Powerboat YouTube channel, have a look. This thing is amazing. Amazing. Okay, I'm going to hit you with some. I was going to say I'll hit you with some stats, but it's I've lost my bit of paper, but that's a foiling power catamaran.
Semi-foiling.
Semi-foiling.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
Now
definitely
I
need to
sent it
put
to you. You were underwhelmed.
Oh, I thought it was cool. Like, I do like cats, don't get me wrong. But I thought
But
the interior didn't really get me excited.
I was about to say the interior is like the nicest interior I've ever seen on a boat. Think of a Bentley Continental.
Nah. Nah. That You reckon?
Yes, it's magnificent.
I'm gonna have to go Volder cat. Just give me a second. I'm gonna go
Well,
and
the
have a
Cat
quick
20.
look.
Okay. And now, while Christian's looking that up and changing his mind because he was very
I'm
scathing.
not gonna change my mind.
Well, put it this way: a tank of diesel could get you at 18 knots to Fiji.
Yeah, you're forgetting though. You're forgetting a tank of diesel is like 4 tons of diesel.
Yeah.
Fuck, bro. I can get anything to Fiji for a tank of diesel if I have a big enough tank. That
Yeah, but
doesn't
not at
tell you
18
anything.
knots. You can't.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Okay. The Interanda cruises at 18 knots. That's its cruising speed. It's the
Yeah.
displacement hull.
Well, this isn't the
Fuel
Inter-Island.
capacity. It's
The
even worse
Inter-Island
than
was
4
cracked
cubes.
out.
Bro, the fuel capacity is 9,460 litres. That's
Yeah.
9.4 tons of fuel. 9.4 cubic meters of fuel. Anything can get to Fiji for that amount. Fuck.
At 18 knots.
Oh, 18. And just before you told me 18 knots is underwhelming because that's like your displacement speed for your Rayglass.
To go that far.
If I use 9 tons of okay, I'm gonna put that. Okay, diesel price right now is $2.10 a litre. You ready for it?
Yes.
$2 times 9,460 litres, and fuck, I hope we do. Oh my god, I can get 5 first class tickets there. I'd rather take that. $19,866.
Well, you don't go to Fiji all the time.
Gee, okay. Anyway, let's talk about the inside at least. This is
So the
wow.
inside. So Volder Yachts, if anyone listening to want to go, we'll obviously put a photo of the outside of the boat and one of the inside on our Instagram page. But I would watch the video, boatingnewzealand.com or Pacific Powerboat, sorry, on YouTube channel, or Volder Yachts on their website.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
now hey, I do want to actually say this one is the one that has the awesome interior. The one I sent you had the shit interior.
stunning,
Yeah,
stunning
this
interior.
is very very nice.
This is
Sorry,
one of
I
your favorite
was
boat.
yeah no. The one I sent you was the one that was the cat that I sent you had the pretty average interior. My bad. Sorry, bro.
So, I mean, that is a lot of fuel, but that means you can go overseas.
Well, yeah, to be honest, anything go overseas for 9 cubes of fuel, bro.
But at that speed, that's like 2 days to Fiji.
Is it?
That's that 18
Okay, so
knots.
okay,
20.
but
I
what
think it
are
might
it
have
like?
been quicker than you can go to Australia. Like, okay, so I'll give you some stats. 20
I love it. Like,
meters long.
you give me some other
Okay,
stuff. Give me some.
I'll
But
give you some other stuff. Twin 1300 V8 diesels. Okay, and it's got that foil. So at 18 knots, it pops up onto a semi-foil. Don't think Team New Zealand, not like right out of the air,
no,
but
no, no,
just enough to create a little bit of lift that obviously reduces drag and helps achieve that amazing fuel consumption.
bro. So, yeah, I I do agree that well, amazing lift and all that. That's quite cool, but yeah, the fuel consumption is something.
Now you've got a controversial. So moving on from that boat, so you made a very controversial call
Oh
earlier
no,
today.
go back, go back. I think you need to stress to people to check this Volder out for the interior.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this I
And
take this
it's a stunning boat. It's a cat. There's so much room, very highly finished, and with that fuel
sexy interior.
capacity, yeah, just like
Yeah,
think about taking your luxury apartment anywhere in the world.
that's exactly the way you describe it, eh? Like a luxury apartment. Because
Yeah.
the one that I sent you, sorry, that had the average interior was the Right 52 Power Cat that I sent
Oh
you from.
no, yuck.
Yeah, from Boating New Zealand. That's the one I
Yeah,
sent you, and I was
yeah.
like, I thought that was the one that had the interior we're talking
No,
about.
no. Watched the review, and that right cat. I have watched that one. That's a nice cat, but we're chalk and cheese here.
Oh, you can't compare the two.
Now back to your extremely controversial call, and it does lead into
Whoa,
something else I want to talk
controversial,
about. Yeah. No, in fact, maybe it
controversial,
isn't. Maybe it isn't.
controversial.
Christian sent me a link today, and he said, "Now we want to start by saying we are massive fans of Dickey boats on this podcast. In fact, it has
Yeah.
won our ultimate boat in almost every category for a long time. But you came today and you said you preferred a Makaira
Yeah,
over a Dickey.
a
Now,
Dickey.
Makaira, for those that don't know, is a uh, very similar sort of design, I suppose, sport fishing boat made in a little place called Waipapa, which is by Kitty Kitty in the Bay of Islands. They have
So
achieved
in the
some
far north, whoop whoop.
amazing things in the time they have uh, been around. Okay, some amazing models and have really grown as a brand, including the first. So get on their website. I'll obviously link some pictures. They do a whole range of boats. I don't know what size in particular
Oh, that's the
you were
problem.
looking at.
I
However,
don't
they
know.
their claim to fame is that they are the first aluminium plate boat with what's
Mm-hmm.
called a Carolina flare. Now, for those
Mm-hmm.
that don't know, it's something that's pretty
Commercial,
common in
commercial,
fiberglass.
commercial plate boat that does a Carolina flare. I think it's the key
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. So it's, if you look straight down from the front down the boat, you obviously have a flare which helps
And do you
deflect
know where
water.
they've got that inspiration from?
Where
A Sea Nymph V14.6 gull-wing,
I'm sure that's exactly what they looked at.
which just
But
happens to be
you
my
do
boat,
raise a point that in fiberglass it is much easier to create.
which my
Um,
boat was built in 1969, which is a good year, by the way.
well, they've done a good job here. They were the first ones to do it, and they are
You know, no,
very highly finished
I
boats.
give, yeah, like, hey, I give them credit, but they are cool boats. But just the flare thing, because then I don't know. I love this boat, but when he brags on about this flare, I was down at the Mana, what do you call it, marina, and you know how they got boats on the hard there on trailers.
Mm.
Well, there's an alloy boat down there, right? An alloy commercial boat, and it's got more Carolina flair than you can shake a queer at. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
And I was going to take a photo and send it to this guy and go, "You reckon you're the first? Well, this thing's corroded so much it must have been built about 30 years before yours."
I'm sure he'd be rapt to hear that. Now,
Yeah.
they've got quite a range here, outboards and stern drives.
Mm.
Now, what's your pick? So,
Oh,
everything from about 750 up to 35 feet. Stern drive, outboard. Obviously, some are trailerable, some aren't. Um,
man, I don't.
it's really
I
tricky.
think,
What?
yeah,
Yeah,
I think I I like the idea of going for the twin outboards. Then you can do like a
yeah,
spot lock.
yeah. It's funny because that's exactly what I've just looked at here, which is their 850, so Gen 3 850. Some quick stats for you: 28 foot long, 470 liters of petrol, which doesn't seem like a heap, if I'm honest.
No, not for two
Uh,
outboards, eh?
for two outboards. So this one in particular has got twin 200 Mercury four strokes, Verados,
Mm.
but real sexy boat, really good looking, and
And
just
when
absolute
you
fishing
talk to
weapon.
the or when the guy talks about like his boat and his design and effort and stuff he's put into it, and you know how he's quite concerned about how the New Zealand boating industry basically says, oh, anyone can get a skill saw, a plate of aluminium, and a TIG welder, and call themselves a trailer boat, manufacturer.
Yeah.
And he's like, he talks about, oh, he was over in Australia doing a fishing comp, and it was like a multi-day fishing comp, and there was this other well-known brand brand new boat that had been built for this comp, and they were all heading out. They had to travel like 20 kilometers or something, and of course, over a multi-day fishing comp, it chops up a little bit, quite a bit, and they've got to bash 20 kilometers to get to the fishing grounds. Anyway, this other well-known brand of boat had a lot of cracks forming in the hull and in the joins,
Oh,
and so had to get sent back for full replacement. And he said that's exactly the issue, is that people design these boats don't understand the materials that they're building. And yeah, and he's like, made his so that it's fully compliant with whatever the
yeah,
marine
they're
industry
built to
standards.
is it Lloyd standard? I think it is.
That's it, Lloyd standard, yeah.
Mm. Which is for those that don't know is well beyond what most pleasure
Trailer
craft
boats.
are built
Oh
to.
yeah, 8 mil
Um,
hull, 6 mil stringers, 5 mil sides and top sides. Like,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. I know what you mean. I've watched a couple of videos on this guy, and I'm sorry I can't remember his name. I'll tag him into this podcast, and we'd love to reach out to you and maybe come and have a closer look at your factory one day. But
Oh,
he's
definitely.
one of these guys that you're quite reassuring in the way he talks. Um, Obviously passionate about his product, identified, as you say, a gap in the market or a weakness in the market, and is one of the absolute starting in the garage sort of businesses and built up to
I would
to
say
a well known
probably
company.
this would have to be one of New Zealand's premium trailer boat, alloy trailer boats. Say, like, it'd be as good, if not better, than Dickey.
I'm going to say I think it's layout wise and some of the design cues. I think they're better. And again, we have held a candle to Dickey boats for so long, but I yeah I think gun to my head, I would I would pick one of those. I mean, the Dickey 45 is the one we really like, which is the big one, and I see that
Yeah,
these
but
guys
this
only have
guy
a
doesn't make
35.
a 45. Like, he only makes a 35. So you
He
have to
makes a
compare it.
35. So here we go. So because another boat we wanted to talk about today is the Legacy 35. Now, Legacy, if you don't know that name, think Extreme. So
Yep.
Extreme boats make have got like a side company, I suppose, or a brother company, whatever you want to call it, called Legacy, and they made a big deal about their 70 footer, which the owner of Extreme Boats or Legacy Boats built for himself. Amazing boats on the front of the one of the boating magazines, but they've just done a review on a 35. Now, it's a nice
Oh,
boat. It is. I
it's
don't.
ugly, eh?
It's ugly. Let's just get beat about the bush. It's ugly. So we've got that.
Yeah. I'm just
We've
looking
got
at
the
it now for the
Rayglass
first time.
35. We've got the Dickey Semi-Fly 32, because they don't. Oh,
Yep.
sorry, 36. Sorry, semi-fly
36.
36.
Same, yeah, 36, 32, yeah.
And then we've got this Makaira Gen 3 35 inboard. Now, I don't know pricing for this Makaira boat, so that probably puts it a little bit on the outer. But in terms of like, let's take price out of the equation for a second. We'll put it back in, but just take price out of those four boats. So the Legacy 35, the Dickey Semi-Fly 36, this Makaira, and a Rayglass 3500. So all around that 35, 36 foot small launches for doing essentially the same thing, weekending, fishing, so on. What are you having?
Wow, that's a tricky one, because that Rayglass has got less deck space, less like fishing orientated,
Yeah,
more family and go out for the weekend, you know?
yeah, absolutely.
Whereas the Makaira is definitely more fishing orientated. Like if you're just going to go with the mates for big weekends away, well, you take the Makaira. But if you're going to have the family, well, then you take the Rayglass.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Now, where does the Dickey 36 and the Legacy fit in that for you?
I would say the Dickey, oh, the Legacy can just yuck. Like,
Okay, interesting.
I look at it. It's man, you look at it and you go, it looks like it's got a lot of its design cues from the Rayglass, if I can be honest.
Yeah,
And then the interior, you've got this table that takes up a huge amount of space and this huge like seating area that's way too deep for you to actually ever be able to reach the back cushion.
yeah,
It again looks like one of those like more family orientated ones, eh? The Dickey 36, however, that's that's quite a nice boat still.
it is a very nice boat, and so for me, for my opinion, I totally support what you've said. The Rayglass is the more sort of family oriented weekender as opposed to the Makaira, which I think is probably more down the fishing end, although it is very nicely finished. The Dickey probably sits a little bit in the middle,
Yep,
and
I'd
I
agree with
agree.
that.
The Legacy for me just doesn't do it. I think with
Like
that
at
sort of
all, eh?
high bar set by those other three. The Rayglass isn't the best looking boat either, by the way, but neither that Legacy just
It's
doesn't quite
certainly
sit
not,
right.
eh?
Now we took price out for that. Let's pop it back in because here's
Oh,
where the Rayglass starts to throw some punches. You can get a
oh, right.
brand new 3500
Yeah,
for around 700-800 grand, depending on options and stuff. Now we know that
100%.
Dickey is 1.2 mil.
Yep,
I don't have updated
maybe
pricing
even
on the
more
Legacy.
now.
Probably more now. I don't have
Yeah,
updated pricing on the Legacy or the Makaira, but if the Makaira could come in at that sort of late nines million mark, I'd probably go there because I think it's a brilliant boat. I think Dickey's. We know they're overpriced for what they are. They are very nice boats. Don't get us wrong, but geez, they are dear.
yeah.
So for that, is the Rayglass that inferior of a product with that competition that warrants that extra money? Like
Oh, at that
that's high
money,
price.
man. At that money, I'd probably go for the Rayglass, to be honest.
I think I would too. Twin diesels.
Even if it, because they even do single engines too. It like whatever, yeah,
Yeah,
straight over.
yeah. And that Makaira, I'd have to ask if they do a swim platform. That'd be
Yeah,
a
it's definitely a
yeah,
game fishing setup, eh?
yeah,
Less
that
less
sort
shit
of
in the way.
transom
So
door with nothing out behind. So
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
good to see lots of those sort of smallish launches though. For a long time they didn't exist that sort of size. So Kiwis have really come back with those that slight step up from a trailer boat. So I imagine people are getting out of their 950, insert any boat name here, or
Yeah,
850
yeah, yeah.
Rayglass, or Tristrams and that's the next step up.
That's it, eh? That's exactly it.
And we're seeing more and more of them in marinas and stuff.
Oh gosh, like you look at those boats and you go, you you see the Makaira, you see the Dickey, and you see the Rayglass together, and you just go, whoa. If I had to pick, say you had a brand new Rayglass, a second-hand Dickey, and whatever Makaira came in it to be equal price,
Yeah,
oh, you'd be hard pushed
yeah,
to
you really
choose.
would. You would. Hey, it says here, become a brand ambassador.
For who?
This is Makaira Boats on their website. Become a
Well,
Makaira
bloody
ambassador.
sign me up.
Compelling, As an ambassador, you will create compelling content through great cinematography and storytelling that will include the subtle inclusion of the Makaira boats brand. We haven't been subtle,
So,
we've just talked about them. You'll
well,
be able to
yeah,
help out at boat shows and demo days. Bro, I'm going to put my name forward. Our name forward. We're unable seamen. We've just talked about
and
them for the last quarter of an hour on the podcast. I swear to
and
God,
we
I
were
just
like,
clicked on the live.
that's quite cool. Yeah, we'll send the dude a thing and say, hey, check out our podcast. This my
Did,
old mate of mine, Christian here. He bloody was gawking at you today on the old YouTube. And by the way, great YouTube content.
it is good YouTube content. Did we say
The
anything nasty? I hope not. No, you were
no,
nasty
we
about
did
the
say it was like
legacy.
more fishing orientated. Oh, legacy.
That's not
We're not
nasty.
gonna. No,
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get a brand deal with Legacy or
nah, nah. So,
Tristram. Well, there's quite
one
a
of
few
the
brands on
guys.
this podcast we've actually decimated over the
Yeah,
years. Well, I say we, you.
yeah,
I'd
I'm
like
pretty
to
brutal,
personally
eh?
distance myself from almost all of Christian's comments.
Oh man, I had one of the guys from Antenatal. Their dad just bought quite a large extreme,
Yeah. Uh
and,
oh.
he said, oh, they've got a bad name for having a pretty harsh ride for their size of boat. And he goes, oh, it's generally because they're not set up properly, like the outboards or whatever. And you're like, I was just thinking, so what about every other boat that gets set up? Are they set up right, and these are just not set up right? Like, how does that work? That they get a bad rep.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's dropped God knows how much. It must be like 150 grand. His dad has on this extreme.
What
And
size was it
man,
again?
oh, big. I can't remember. Seven
Yeah.
meter plus.
Yeah.
And I just hope for his sake it ends up being all he hopes for and a bit more.
It's such a shame, Extreme, and we have talked about them a lot on this podcast. They are lovely boats. They are lovely boat show boats. Like at that last boat show, some of the innovation, like this in the hardtop, there was this shower built in. So at the back of the hardtop, you can get out, scuba diving with your wetsuit on, and the shower is like built seamlessly into the hardtop, and this
Yep,
like electric barbecue that came out from the side, like clever bits of design. They are cool,
mate.
cool boats.
Do you remember the 750 that had the wicked bait board,
Yeah,
center
no, that
island
and
bait
that was
board?
awesome.
Oh, wicked,
But and,
fantastic.
but the thing is, it's just the ride, and for a long time, I thought it was just us maybe ripping them on the podcast, but you get on any like fishing forum or anything like that, and people say the same thing. So it's amazing that they haven't addressed it, and I don't know enough about boat design or anything to probably put my finger on why they behave like that. But I think it's something to do with like the big sort of rounded front in them. I don't think they enter the waves well. I think they sort of crash into them a bit.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But I was watching a few vids from that Makaira one, and the video. What was it? It was one where he was interviewed by the guys at the Captain magazine, the Australian guys.
Yeah, yeah,
And he said, you can stick your deep V bullshit that you love, your Australian pricks. That doesn't mean
yeah,
anything, and that doesn't equal a soft ride. And he said,
yeah.
there's so much more to a soft ride than just it having a deep V. And I
It's
thought,
really interesting.
wow, yeah, that was really
Yeah,
interesting. And he said that the boat show, the Hutch Wilco off the water boat show, if you want to call it that, is really just a competition where who can ever spec up their boat the most. It's not actually about how well it performs in the water and how long it
yeah,
lasts and how durable it is. It's just which boat has the best spec sheet.
yeah. And
It's
that's exactly what we just said about Extreme. They're lovely finish. You look at them and you think, shit, oh, this is everything we want in a boat. And it's really interesting you said that. And I'd love to actually get him on if he might not want us as brand ambassadors, which I totally support. But we might reach out and see if he wants to come on and because I love guys who have started out. That's our dream, is to start your own boat company. The problem is I can't build anything. Building a Lego boat seems to be beyond me.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. And well, I don't want to go sort of, I'm sort of like I'm a horse and cart, aren't I, with me old sea nymph.
yeah, yeah.
So
Anyway, so we'll do that. But lots happening in the boating space. Now, moving on to our next topic, and probably the crux of today's podcast. It's a very long intro, 34 minutes of just talking about boats have been on our mind. But today, the
Oh shit.
meat of today's podcast is actually what you guys, the listeners, have reached out with some questions for us. And
Jeepers.
some random ones. So we'll just go and we'll just see where it goes, sort of thing. So I put it out on our Instagram page at Unable Seaman, of course, which I know some of you are following. And this is where I put a little thing out, a little story, and some people punch some questions through. So I thought, well, we'll answer them. And if you're listening on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or anything, um, hook up to our Instagram at Unable Seaman. Direct message us if you think of anything else, and we'll absolutely answer it on our next podcast. Obviously on YouTube, hit us in the comments. Okay, rightio. So someone wants to know your greatest fishing moment. For
Oh
Christian, this will
gosh.
be a very quick one. There are none.
Oh, ouch. Well, you go first then, bro.
Yeah, I sort of thought about this. I have the benefit of seeing these questions beforehand, so it's probably easier for me to start. A few years ago, a place called Rangatira Banks off the back of Mare Island. So basically, you go to Mare Island and you go the same distance again on an extreme 750 called Assassin, um, jigging in like 100 and something meters of water. Plus,
Whew.
it's like goes way deeper, but it comes up to this pin, hooked onto this kingy, and nearly blew my ring out bringing this thing in. So it was 23 kilos, but the fight was just it fought for every single one of those meters. There's a video. There's an Assassin YouTube channel. They used to do a lot of videos. I don't know if it's so big now, but it's on there somewhere. It was one of those ones where we had an ice bucket, a chili bin full of drinks, and I had to just put my arms in the chili bin after they were so
Oh,
cooked from that. So that's one. It was probably tied with another one earlier this year. Took the jet ski out one night from Kawakawa Bay on a Monday night. So I had a school staff meeting, finished a bit early, thought, bugger it, I'm going to go. Gannet Rock, dropped a slow jig down and hooked the snapper that were pushing probably 16, 18 pound. Don't think it cracked the 20. I was tempted to put it back, but hey, it was the only thing I caught that night and I was bloody hungry. So brought it home. There's a picture of it on our Instagram at Unable Seaman. It's the me standing there proud as punch. So those are my ones. What about you?
wow, man. I
See, I told you you'd have nothing.
wow. It's like, do you?
Christian's like sitting back like he's got so many fishing memories rocking through his brain.
Well, I can name a couple of you knobhead. I really, really enjoyed two good moments of you where we were. One was we took that boat, that 6 meter Radicat thing, and we went from French Pass, and we were motoring that morning out to D'Urville Island, and it was just glassy calm.
It was.
Just that in terms of a fishing moment, heading to the fishing grounds, that was just so mint. And
So
then
again, Christian's fishing moment is not catching anything, but
oh, okay, okay. And then the other one is when we did that big steam around the tip of it'd be the tip of the South Island, I suppose, out from by Kawa Bay, and you'll go
that
past
was
that
pretty
rock that
special.
yeah, where the Mikhail Lumentoff ran aground,
Yeah,
and we were fishing McManaway's. I think it's called McManaway's Reef. It could be called Macaulay's Reef. Anyway, whatever that reef is,
yeah.
and we ended up going home because it was just we're tired of bringing in kingfish.
That jigging day, eh? And that's when your engine stopped going into reverse, eh?
It didn't actually go into reverse when we left it for the trip.
Yeah, it was hiding our Yamaha 140 with that. That was
Well,
a
it still went. It just didn't have reverse, you know. So
freaking
that's
yeah, that was amazing. That was like they couldn't fix it.
oh no, they
Or they
could, but it was going to cost lots of money.
yeah, which is just
Yeah,
not
yeah,
worth
because
it.
all the
So
bolts had
that's
seized
cool.
on.
That's cool that you've yeah, that's right. So that's cool. You've picked a couple of moments as opposed to like specific fish, and I absolutely agree with you. That day down on top of the sounds there was certainly one to remember. Okay,
That's
moving
it,
on
eh?
to our next question. Buying advice for a small trailer boat. Now, this is probably I'll hand this one over to Christian initially because he's in a dilemma at the moment, as you know, if you've listened to our previous podcast, where he wants to buy something else. Now he's looking at big old wooden glass over ply. Think Pellin. Think 30 grand. Think full of rot. Think the sort of thing that like when you go to a mooring that is what the those boats that have like the plastic bags to keep the birds off and that like no one ever uses. That
Okay,
is the thing.
okay, come on. Fucking hell. Did you want to give us any more of an intro into that one? Mate.
But the dilemma is that you're also thinking of a trailer boat. You've sent me you have quite strict um sort of conditions around size, so you can't go more than about 5.5 meters. So five and a
Yeah,
half meters,
2.3 meters total width
yeah.
is what I'm
So
stuck at the moment.
what have you been looking at, and what would you buy? What do you think's good?
Oh, well, what I think's good. It's a different question. I have been looking at the Buccaneer Classics because
Yeah,
they fit the bill. They come in at just shy of 2.3 meters wide on the trailer. That's the 495 or the 485 or whatever they call it now, and the 550 Classic.
yeah.
They do suffer though from
Ugly, but look a bit like a dolphin. But they are a very good boat. Lots of room.
lots of room. They do suffer from being like quite bum heavy.
Yeah,
So that's one thing, but they've got, great reputation for seaworthiness, blah blah blah, pushing through the snot. And like
yeah,
because they've got that funny dolphin double bob thing at the front, that's where the windows are all the way around and they let in a shtook ton of light. So your cabin isn't actually a separate part of the boat. It feels all like one. So that's a positive for them.
cool. Yeah,
But they 35 grand. I'm also looking at a Sea Nymph Regal 550. So they vary. They come in at they're like a bit older, early 2000s, late 90s, 15 to 20 grand, and they often have like a dirty old 90 horsepower two stroke on the back.
and
So
so just on that, is that before they were made in China and were made called a Narita or something?
yes, yeah, exactly, yeah, yeah. So I think it was called like Steedcraft or something.
Yeah,
Was the molds were purchased from them in Australia, and then Sea Nymph made them here in New Zealand, and
yeah,
they were actually a pretty sweet hull. So the Challenger, the Charger, and as you would know, the Smuggler, the 6 meter and the 6.5 meter Smuggler, or Reef Runner, or whatever you want to call it, are those hulls, and they're pretty renowned for being awesome. And so that's their cuddy cabin version, the Regal or the
yeah.
Executive. Um,
Well,
and then
I
yeah,
notice you haven't picked a center console through any of that, and I'm just going to jump in here and say that I just do not see the point in those little center consoles. I mean, obviously you can fish from them. I get that. I get the fishing platform, but so much of the time you have to come back or go out in some sort of chop or wind or potentially rain or elements, and I just think, how miserable is that?
oh, bro, and like I've got a 1.5-year-old and a partner that wants to put her down to have a sleep while we're fishing. If we're going to be up there all
Yeah,
day, and where's that going to happen in a center console?
yeah, absolutely. So I sort of ruled any of those out, um,
Oh,
but by that
in a
alone,
heartbeat. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And obviously, like I'm trying to stick below 30 grand. Ideally, it'd be like 15 grand, and then later on put a four stroke on the back. So
yeah,
it's one of those things. So other ones that I've been looking at were those old Haynes signatures.
yeah,
They
yeah,
they look alright. They're pretty mean, pretty the cuddy cabins, but again they are quite a big boat size wise, but not that big on the inside when you get the
yeah.
cuddies. So yeah, I don't know, man. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah, just that bit about the center consoles. It's a tricky thing. I'd always try and go that wee bit bigger. I think you're onto it with the Buccaneer Classic. Um, I think in terms of like a hull that would absolutely get you anywhere is the Tristram 550 Classic.
Yeah, but that's
But
not 30
they
grand,
look
eh?
so dated now. They just don't. They haven't. I don't think that designs aged well. Like in terms of like seaworthiness and a boat, a well designed boat, absolutely nothing better. But um, I just they look old school,
They
and you
do.
can play into that with or not. But it is clear it's an older boat as opposed to the Buccaneer, which can probably, as much as they're ugly, they can probably get away with looking a little bit more modern than they are.
Well,
I
I
still
suppose you're
think,
saying like we you accept ugly from the get go, whereas that Tristram's just dated. Because I'm looking at one here, which is the 521 Deluxe,
yeah,
Delux,
yeah.
and yeah, she's pretty old looking, eh?
I mean, that's what
But
put Tristram on the map. Those boats because they were just so well built and just took anything,
I
absolutely
can see
took
a
anything.
Kingsley here. You can get a 550 Kingsley for 20 grand.
Is that right? That's pretty cheap for one of them. Real cheap.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was going to have a quick
Ex-
piece at it.
Anyway, next question. Uh, your best boat ramp story.
With
Oh
you and your
God.
dad.
Yeah. Oh, I've got a book of these, but I'll let you go first.
I've been with you and your dad twice, where he's unhooked um, his mint CSB boat, and I don't know why he unhooks it before it's in the water, but he does, and he's on rollers, so it damn near starts rolling off as soon as he does that, and then wonders why it hits the concrete rather than the water before he's picked it.
Yep. So just to give context to the story, Labour weekends are busy as hell. Yep. Huntsman, not their new one now, but the previous one, with a girlfriend at the time. The first time meeting the parents, you know. So we're heading out, heading up there, about to head on the water, and she's all
Bear in
excited.
mind, this is not the one that I was at.
No, that's again. I could write a book. There's multiple occasions, but this was a real doozy. Um, so everyone's sort of being polite and making small talk. Jake's got a new girlfriend, and mum and dad are on their best behavior and all this. And dad does his trick of unhooking it before he backs down. I don't know why he got into this rhythm of unhooking it then.
You know
Wanking a
why?
boat is
Because of
all
the
about,
bayliner. The
yeah, it
bayliner that
is.
was on skids, so it didn't even matter.
Yeah, and I think you're right. The bayliner had skids. You could unhook it. In fact, you needed to unhook it so that you could try and sort of charge down the ramp and hit the picks, and it would fly off the back. Obviously, on a roller trailer, you don't need to do that. So this thing dropped 10 meters above the water's edge, just bang onto the ramp.
Oh,
Oh Jesus, it's just painful to think about. So that's probably my best boat ramp story. The only other one is
oh no,
at,
another one.
and this was the Bayline. This was at Beachlands. So at Beachlands, if anyone that knows it, or Maraita, I should say, there's a public boat ramp which is like pretty shallow, pretty tidal, and a members only one. But it's quite unique in the sense that you, as a non-member, you can't just pay a one-off ramp fee.
Oh,
So I launched the boat. That was fine. Went out, watched the America's Cup. Blew up shitty. So I banked on the tide being a bit higher, but we came home early, made the right call. Weather was came in and backed the trailer in, this bloody float on trailer, backed it almost halfway to Waiheke, and the skids weren't
oh,
even near being submerged.
oh,
And so the wind's howling in there. Poor buddy Karina at the time, holding onto this boat, getting dragged up the beach,
oh no.
by the 6 meter bayliner. And I thought, oh. So I thought, shit. I said, hold on to it a bit longer, and I shot round um to the private ramp, which is next door, a beautiful boating club there and restaurant. Anyone who knows it, and said to the guy, "Hey mate, how much to use your ramp? Because most, $20 or something." And he goes, $750. I said, what? And he goes, that's a yearly membership. I said,
Oh,
well, mate, I don't live here. I just want to use your ramp. And he goes, oh, too bad, sort of thing. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, it's blowing up right now. It's the same day American Magic flipped over. I don't know if anyone remembers that
yeah,
in the
yeah,
American
yeah.
Cup. So it was blown. And so I started to walk away. And he goes, oh, I can do a one off in an emergency. And I said, well, see that little girl getting dragged by that boat along the beach
Oh
there? I said,
no.
that's the situation. Do you call that an emergency? And he goes, I suppose so. So anyway,
Oh,
I went back down to the boat, got on board, and it was blowing its, and you had to go through a little seawall thing. So I said to Corinne, look, I will drive the boat, you go move the car. Now she'd
yep.
never driven my ute, which was a manual.
Oh no.
So she's driving around bunny hopping, and I said, for God's sake, big wide trailer, for God's sake, don't take out any BMWs or anything. Went down, held up everyone at the ramp because she thought she'd try and back it. But he jackknifed it about 400 million times. Finally, this guy got in and backed it down. We winched it on. The bloody trailer winch cable stuff snapped. So I had to
Oh.
drive it on and carve a big hole out of the end of his ramp. Anyway, we went up there. After all said and done, got to the top of the ramp, and I said, "Hey, mate, really appreciate the help. What do you drink? I'll go get you some beers right now, and I'll come back." And he just looks at me and he said, "Just don't ever come here again."
Is that what he said?
And we drove off and never did. So the whole
And
boating community thing went out the window.
you give me so much shit for the odd time that I have like a minor fault with my boat, and you have this like just dictionary of fuck ups.
Uh,
Oh man. Hey, anyway, bro, I got the word from the missus. She's
yeah,
got a sinus infection and is keen for me to crash out and
yeah,
not
bro.
keep
You
her
better.
awake with our bullshit yarns.
No, absolutely, no, absolutely. Hey, but no, think there's great chats, great questions. We've got a few more we'll save for next time, and if you've got any questions for us, once again at Unable Seaman, yeah, direct message us on Instagram is probably the best way to get in contact with us. We'll try and do the next podcast more regularly. Obviously, we always say that and never quite live up to it. Although
Hey,
we will try this time, maybe once a month would be great. Um, as always, yep, at Audible Seaman is our Instagram. And if you've enjoyed the content, subscribe to whatever platform you're watching it on, and
yeah.
we'll see you next time.
And also you can actually sign up if you want to support us. Jake has an OnlyFans.
Yeah, and I just sell fans on it over the summer months. I'd love, mate, easy money, those OnlyFans. What we need to get those, one of these Patreon things.
Oh yeah, yep. I
Uh,
still like that idea of
Yeah,
you on OnlyFans. That'd be hilarious.
just me posing on the boat.
Yeah, yeah. Just think of the
who,
weirdest
would-
kink and then sell it to the weirdest person that's
who
keen to
wants to
buy
who wants to come and lay an anchor?
it.
And on that note, I think we will get out of here. Once
Okay.
again, thanks for listening. Take it easy. See you later.
Boo.